good afternoon, good morning. We used to doing the show at night, but let's start over. Good afternoon, and welcome to Talking Sports with Evan. I'm Evan Witalis, and this is my show, and this is a Christmas Eve edition of Talking Sports with Evan. It is a Packer Bear recap. Yes, I enjoy pain sometimes. Talking sports with Evan. And it is a Packer Ravens edition of Talking Sports with Evan. And Merry Christmas Eve to everybody. I hope that those that are traveling, which I will be doing pretty much as soon as I get off the air here, I hope everyone travels safe to their destinations. Take your time, be safe, and just get to your destination. That's all I can really ask for at this point. You can listen to the show on Spotify. You can scan the QR code in the top corner of the screen opposite my logo. That QR code will take you to Spotify, and you can subscribe or like it or follow whatever you do with Spotify and listen to every past show there. Otherwise, in between the QR code and the logo is how to find me on X at Evan with Sports or on YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan. And I encourage you all to give a like, a subscribe, and a follow to every platform. So, with that said, Packers and Bears. Oh my. That's really the best thing I could say about that. Packers and Bears, oh my. And a few things to talk about that I found positive, a few things to talk about I found negative, and then just some general observations about the game in general. Starting on the positive. Overall, the Packers played well until they didn't. And that's kind of a theme. I think the offensive line played pretty well. I think Jordan Morgan, who aside from the last play of regulation, which everyone is airing that highlight nonstop, I think Jordan Morgan had a really good game overall. He did his job. He did his job well, and he did his job at a pretty good standard. And he helped keep Jordan Love upright. And Malik Willis upright. The only time Love got sacked was a play from the left side of the line where he got helmet to helmet hit. And then the only time Malik Willis, I think, took a sack was the last play of regulation before going into overtime. And I know that was Morgan's sack that he gave up because he got thrown around like a rag doll on that play. But if you look at the game as a whole, Jordan Morgan had a good game. He did exactly what you wanted him to do. He moved his defender in the run game. He protected the quarterback, put a pretty good quality for the majority of the game. And like I said, he did his job. And I know it's easy to crap on him being a first-round pick, and the last play of regulation I get was not good. It was not a good look. And unfortunately, Morgan's one of these guys that he can have 30 great plays in a row, but if he has one suspect play, that's what everyone's going to put the microscope on. The same thing happened to Kevin King because we didn't draft TJ Watt. Kevin King could have a very strong game, give up one big play, and automatically he had a worst game ever as a corner because they didn't draft who they wanted them to draft. And I get it. It would have been nice having TJ Watt, but it is what it was. And I would have been nice having Cooper DeJean, but it is what it is. I felt that Morgan was the more what they needed / wanted at that particular position. And here's the thing. Nobody had Cooper DeJean as a first-round pick in the NFL. He went in the second round of the Eagles. So it's not like, every team in the NFL had him as a first-round pick and the Eagles swooped in after the Packers passed on him and took him. They waited till the second round themselves to take him. But my point is, we can't overreact to every bad play that happens with Jordan Morgan, just like we can't overreact to every good play that happened with Jordan Morgan. I'm not shouting from the rooftops that this is a game that shows that Jordan Morgan isn't a bust and he deserves to start in this league and he's going to be a great left tackle when Rasheed Walker leaves. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is he played well. He played well when given the opportunity, I'm not even going to show the comment that I just got. Just got spammed with a bot comment, and I'm not going to show it as okay. But anyway, I'm not going to overreact to every good play he does. I'm not going to overreact to every bad play he does, and that's kind of what I'm asking of you all. And if he has to play again on Sunday because Zach Tom isn't ready yet, let's not make that an indictment of him either. If he has a great game or has a bad game. He's a second-year player, missed most of his rookie year due to injury, and he made the best of his opportunity on Saturday. And let's hope he does the same this coming Saturday. So that was a good part of the game. Malik Willis was another good area of the game. And I'm going to kind of talk about Malik Willis in two ways here. First of all, tip your hat to Malik Willis. He did a great job. He went in, he did his job. Did he miss a throw in the end zone? Yes. Did he fumble the snap in overtime? Yes. But overall, Malik Willis played really well. He did what you wanted the offense to do, and that was continue to move the football when your starting quarterback gets hurt. Malik Willis is everything and then some you ask for in a starting quarterback. Everything you ask for and more. I mean, a backup quarterback. Willis is everything you ask for and more in a backup quarterback. You're not going to lose much when he's out there. He's going to run the offense. He's confident. He puts the work in. He is what you want in a backup quarterback. And the NFL has a quarterback problem, and the NFL has a backup quarterback problem. You see Kansas City with Minshew and now whoever the heck they're playing, they have a backup quarterback problem. And the Packers are thankfully in a position that they're not in an issue. They don't have a backup quarterback problem. We saw towards the tail end of Mike McCarthy, where I think it was 2017, where they dumped both backup quarterbacks on a whim and they signed Seneca Wallace. And then they end up signing Scott Tolzien, and then they ended up bringing Matt Flynn back. And that was a year Rodgers broke his collarbone, and they released both backup quarterbacks coming out of training camp that year. Same thing happened at the end of training camp last season. They didn't like any of the backups they had on the roster, so they released them both, and they traded a 7th-round pick for Malik Willis, which was a great job by Brian Gutekunst to bring in Malik Willis. And Malik Willis started 2 games last year, won them both. He played a series in New York, scored a touchdown before Love came back in that game, and he played a very good 2.5 quarters against the Bears. And he is everything you want in a backup quarterback and then some. With that said, every time Malik Willis plays, every time Malik Willis does well, all we hear on social media is Malik Willis is the better quarterback. Malik Willis should start. Malik Willis is better than Jordan Love. The offense runs better when Malik Willis is out there as opposed to Jordan Love. That's all we hear then, which is wrong. It's just flat out wrong. Malik Willis is a better athlete. He can run a little bit better, but he's not a better quarterback than Jordan Love. Like you look at that game, you look at the box score, and I know you don't focus on the box score when you're analyzing a game. It's not the end all be all. But Jordan Love played 2 full series, and a couple plays on the series he got hurt. He went 8 of 13 for 77 yards in the time that he was out there. Malik Willis, from entering the game to the end of overtime, threw 11 times. And yes, he was 9 of 11, but they had him throw 11 times the rest of the way. And they leaned heavily on the ground game. You had Emmanuel Wilson with 14 carries. You had Josh Jacobs with 12 carries. And you had Malik Willis with 10 carries as well. You also had Matthew Golden with 2 carries, Chris Brooks with 1 carry, Jaden Reed with 1 carry, Savion Williams with 2 carries. So my point is, with that, the Packers, when Malik Willis comes into the game, they rely even more heavy on the ground game than they do the passing game. If they truly trusted Malik Willis, you wouldn't see any change in tendencies. And between the two of them, and I know it all depends on how the game goes, but between the two of them, 24 attempts. Jordan Love probably would have been by himself closer to 30 attempts, if not 35, 40 attempts, because they let him throw the ball a lot more. Malik Willis is a quarterback who doesn't make multiple reads, and the Packers know that, and the Packers run the offense center knowing that he's going to make one read and make that decision if he's going to throw it there or he's going to take off running. And they do more RPOs with him. They do more design bootlegs, design runs with Malik Willis because they know that is his strengths. If Malik Willis could do more than just one read and throw or run, he would have had Christian Watson for a touchdown in this game. We ended up having a fumble in the red zone right around the 2-3 yard line. And I know the Packers defense made a stop, but that's ultimately what we ended up having. Because and it was a good throw to Luke Musgrave. He made a good ball. Musgrave made a nice catch. Unfortunately, Musgrave can't run more than 2 or 3 yards before falling down. But if he would have took 1 second to look to his left, he would have saw Christian Watson wide open, and he could have hit Christian Watson for a touchdown. And I have no doubt that if Jordan Love was in that game, Jordan Love would have saw the coverage better pre-snap. He would have made some adjustments on his progression, and he would have hit Christian Watson for a walk-in touchdown. So they're not the same type of quarterback. The Packers severely handcuff Malik Willis when he is out there. And I don't know if Malik Willis is anything more than just a really good backup quarterback. Is he going to be a full-time starter in this league? I don't know. I don't know, and I don't think that he has the ability to be a full-time starter in this league. But I do enjoy having him as the backup quarterback in Green Bay at this moment because he does what he does on Saturday. He plays the game well. He's a good student of the game. He prepares really well because the backup quarterback gets 0 reps all week long with the first team offense, typically. The starting quarterback gets all the reps with the first team quarterback. And it's not just a Packer thing, it's a league-wide thing because you have limited practice opportunities and you have to get the starting quarterback as many reps as possible. Malik Willis last year was a little different because he had to play some first team reps in practice because Love was dealing with the knee issue and then the quad issue and then the hand issue. So he had to get some more reps during the week than he normally would have. But Malik Willis stays prepared. He stays ready, and he stays ready for that opportunity. And whoever signs him next year to compete for a starting quarterback job, they are going to be very happy with what they see and what they get from Jordan Love. I mean, not Jordan Love, from Malik Willis. They're going to be very happy with what they see from Malik Willis. As you know, Jordan Love is a starting quarterback for the Packers, and that's really all there is to it. He is the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Other positives, I like what I saw from Emmanuel Wilson. He ran the ball well, 14 carries, 82 yards, long of 14. They went away from running Jacobs after the fumble, not a punishment, but just he's not 100%, and Wilson's running well, and he did pretty well. Luke Musgrave had 3 catches on 3 targets. Jaden Reed, 3 catches on 3 targets. Unfortunately, they can only get the ball to Christian Watson twice. But I like the moving the ball around a little bit. Romeo Doubs, 5 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs had a really good game until he didn't as well. Then Quay Walker had a pretty solid game. Javon Bullard had a pretty solid game. I think Xavier McKinney, aside from dropping an interception, played extremely well. Moving on to the not so well. Pretty much everything that happened in the last 2 minutes of the game. The botched coverage on the game tying touchdown. You had Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon both guarding the same guy, leaving the guy who caught the tying touchdown wide open in the corner of the end zone. Yes, you had good pressure on Caleb Williams, and it wasn't a really good throw. He almost overthrew his receiver, but when you that wide open, obviously something went wrong in the coverage plan. And I don't know if it was with Keyshawn Nixon blowing his coverage. I don't know if it was Nate Hobbs blowing his coverage. But the way Nate Hobbs acted post-game, I'm guessing it might have been him that was supposed to go into that corner. But either way, one of them was supposed to go in that corner. One of those two was supposed to go with the receiver, the one in the corner. One was supposed to stay with the guy that ran the curl route. And you had Carl Brooks right there on the curl route guy, too. You had three guys, and I know Brooks dropped in the zone, but you had three guys on one and one guy wide open. That play was a complete blunder and a very frustrating play that led to the tie and the ultimate loss. The onside kick. It's easy to point to Romeo Doubs and say it's your fault. You should have fielded the ball because, and honestly, he should have. He should have fielded the ball. It hit him right in the hands, and he couldn't field it securely. He kind of waited, was very passive, and waited for the ball to get there rather than going to get the ball. A lot of things could have been different with Romeo Doubs on that play. And I know I've heard the comments that you shouldn't have a guy in a guardian cap back there on your hands team, but he's back there on the hands team because he has some of the better hands on the team. There's a reason why he is Jordan Love's safety net, that if he has to have a play, he's typically looking for Romeo Doubs first because Romeo Doubs has strong hands and he's going to attack the football. Unfortunately, he didn't on the onside kick. But that's not the only problem on the onside kick. You have, start with Bo Melton. Bo Melton literally blocked nobody. He went inside first and then was not able to block his guy and didn't even make an effort. Josh Jacobs, I get he's hurt, but he's out there just jogging, not making any strong effort to attack the football and help Romeo Doubs out. But maybe he should have been out on, if you take him out of your offensive game plan because he's too hurt to play, maybe you should take him off of hands team. Just a thought. Javon Bullard tried to make a block, but guess what? He ducked his head. You can't block what you don't see. He whiffed on his block. And then Xavier McKinney, bad form, tries to throw a block. I get it was a defensive lineman, but bad form, played too tall and made a poor effort on a block attempt on a linebacker or lineman. All three of those guys who were responsible for Melton, McKinney, and Bullard to block, all three of those guys were on Doubs, on the pile, fighting him for that football. Immediately after the ball wasn't fielded cleanly, we had 5 Chicago Bear players jumping on that pile almost immediately to one Romeo Doubs. You had Keyshawn Nixon dive in a little bit late, but you had Luke Musgrave jogging to the pile. You had Josh Jacobs jogging to the pile. You had Xavier McKinney, Bo Melton, and Javon Bullard all jogging to the pile. There was poor effort on that onside kick. It's like they just assumed it was going to be recovered and things were going to be fine. There was piss poor effort on that onside kick. And that goes straight to coaching. Like, what does our special teams coach do? I get the coverages have been better this year than in years past, but we've struggled on blocking on PAT field goals. It's cost us 2 games, and 1 game was a tie because our inability to block and the kicking blunder in general with McManus's injury. It cost us the Browns game, the Panthers game, and the Cowboys game became a tie because of a blocked extra point. The Eagles game, we had the ball in McManus's range numerous times in that game, but we failed to kick the field goal because we didn't trust McManus's leg, because he was still hurt. And then special teams onside kick return cost us the game against the Chicago Bears. I'm not usually call for the coach's head kind of guy unless things are going really bad. The Packers are still likely making the playoffs. They just have to win one game out of two to be playoff bound, and they're likely potentially playing against backup quarterbacks the next 2 weeks. And, I like my chances against Tyler Huntley and whoever the Vikings throw at you. If McCarthy, I like the Packers' chances even with McCarthy out there, but that's besides the point. But you can't be sloppy and you can't be lazy on special teams. And we see it far too often for the Packers. And it's not just a Rich Biscaccia, however you say his name, thing. It was an issue under Sean Slocum. It was an issue under Ron Zook. It was an issue under whoever the hell had the job before the guy now. It's been a problem for the Packers with special teams for a good decade now, and it doesn't seem like anyone wants to truly fix the problem by making special teams a priority. In Rich's first year, they did. They kept guys on the roster specifically because of their special teams ability, but that lasted 1 year because we didn't see a change. I don't know if another new coach is going to make the difference. I don't know if the way you draft more athletes than football players is going to make the difference, but something needs to change. We can't keep losing games. You can't keep losing playoff games because the inability of special teams to not be special in a bad way. The Packers won the Super Bowl in 1996 because of Desmond Howard's return ability on punts and kickoffs. We're just happy on punts that we can field the ball cleanly. And that's the only reason why Romeo Doubs is back there, because he can field the ball cleanly. That's where we're at right now as an organization. Allen Robinson was a really good punt returner. He returned a punt for a touchdown or two. Micah Hyde had a punt return for touchdown, and he was pretty good back there until he wasn't. He got a little indecisive towards the tail end of his punt returning tenure. But again, I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if it's a personnel thing. But special teams has been a disaster for at least a good decade. It cost the Packers a 49er game in the playoffs a couple years back, in the divisional round at home. A blocked punt and a blocked field goal. The blocked punt went for a touchdown, and the blocked field goal kept points off the board. Those could have been game-changing moments. And the Packers don't. They say they do. They say they put a priority on special teams, but when you see the actual performance on the field as opposed to what they talk about, the talking and the actions aren't meshing. And talk is cheap. I can bash special teams pretty much the whole show. And if you're going to go the last 10 years of Packer football, since the last Super Bowl win, there's been moments where special teams makes you want to put your head through a wall. Other issues I had against the Bears. Where is the pass rush? Where is the pressure? And what the hell happened to Rashawn Gary? Yes, he's never been a high sack number guy, but he was a guy that could be disruptive and a guy that could put pressure on the quarterback and make the quarterback have to scramble and make the quarterback have to make bad throws. But it looks like Rashawn Gary is jogging out there at times. Is he hurt? Is he a 27 or 28-year-old in a 38-year-old's body? Like, what is going on with Rashawn Gary this year? He had a hot start to the year, and now he hasn't had a sack since the Pittsburgh game. That's the last time he had a sack. So, but it was a frustrating loss. Packers should have won. The Packers controlled and dominated the game for 58 minutes. 58. But they couldn't for the last two. And if Romeo Doubs recovers an onside kick, if the Packers don't just completely crap the bed over the course of the last 2 minutes of the game, the city of Chicago is having a completely different conversation this week. And one of those conversations was going to revolve around Caleb Williams. with Caleb Williams ended up with 250 yards and 2 touchdowns and 2 huge touchdown throws. But up until the drive after the onside kick and overtime, Caleb Williams wasn't playing very well. He ended up with a 55% completion percentage. And before that final drive, I think it was closer to 50% than 55. But that's just how quickly the game of football can spin on a dime. And we saw it firsthand in the last 2 minutes from the 2-minute warning on, pretty much with Chicago. And it was fine to kick the field goal right before the 2-minute warning and make it a 10-point game, whatever. Like, that's fine. Or make it a 7-point game, I'm sorry. Yeah, they kicked the field goal right before the 2-minute warning to make it a 7-point game. I don't have a problem with that. But if you recover the onside kick, nothing else happens that happened after that. The blown coverages, everything. So this week it's the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens are in desperation mode as they fell to the Bills. They sit at 6-7. The Steelers currently at 7-6. Actually, no, that's wrong. I need to refresh it. The Steelers currently sit at 9-6, and the Ravens sit at 7-8. So the division's basically the Steelers at this point. The Ravens have to win 2 games, and the Steelers have to lose 2 games for the Ravens to have a shot. And they're Lamar Jackson, who hasn't been very good anyways this season, is dealing with a back issue. And even if he plays, backs are iffy. Backs are tricky. You take one wrong hit, one wrong sack, one wrong push to the ground, and your day can be over with the back. Or you cannot feel it all game, and you can torture the defense and put on the game of your life. Hopefully it's not the latter for the Packers' sake. Hopefully it's the latter for the Packers' sake that he doesn't play well, and not what I had just said. But it's a game the Packers need to win. I get it. All they need is one Detroit Lions loss out of 2 or one win out of 2, and they make the playoffs. But I think they got to win on Saturday. I think they got to go out and get the victory on Saturday and go in with some momentum. Then you play the Vikings, who have nothing to play for and dealing with injuries themselves. You can, once you clinch that playoff spot, and if the Bears lose on Sunday against the 49ers, now you're a win and a Bears loss away from winning the division. So you got to win on Saturday to set things up the way you want them to get set up. And if the Bears win on Sunday and you win on Saturday, the Bears win on Sunday, you can use the final game of the regulation to get healthy. But the Ravens be interesting. They have their offensive philosophy is head scratcher. They don't seem to give Derrick Henry the ball enough when they need to, like Sunday, after he scored a touchdown to put the Ravens ahead. I forget exactly by how much, but he scored a touchdown, put the Ravens ahead, I think by 11. Yeah, I think it was 11. And it was the Patriots they lost to. But anyway, he scored to put them up 11, and he never touched the ball again. Lamar hasn't been the Lamar, and the Ravens give up big plays in the passing game. And I think the Packers, if Jordan Love plays, they can definitely exploit that a little bit. I think if you play Josh Jacobs, you should put him on a pitch count, and Emmanuel Wilson should do most of the dirty work. And if Malik Willis doesn't play, then you're definitely going to lean heavy on the run game. But this is a game the Packers need to win at the end of the day. If you want to be a playoff team, if you want to be a contender, which the NFL wide open this year on contenders. There's no Kansas City Chiefs this year. So the NFL wide open on both divisions, both the NFC and the AFC. If you want to be a contender and you want to play into February, you got to start handling your business today. You can't let the loss to the Bears linger into this week. You got to just go out there, make it a palate cleanser style game, make a statement, and say, we are still contenders. And I don't know if Jordan Love's, I'm like 99% sure Jordan Love's going to play. I'm about 98.9% sure that Malik Willis will be available to play if Jordan Love is not. I know Malik's dealing with a shoulder. But anyways, that'll just about do it for Talking Sports with Evan. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great Christmas. I will be back next week to recap, hopefully, a Packer win and get you ready for Minnesota and to talk some of the top sports stories, specifically in Wisconsin of 2025. This has been Talking Sports with Evan. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your travel. Just travel safe, and I'll get back at you. Good night. Good day, everybody.